Cool.
Hey.
You in your situation there?
Tim Allen is the best Santa ever.
What up? Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, that's a contentious topic.
Yep. And for the record, I think Kurt Russell looks good, but I just don't think he's got it.
I agree.
It's too hunky.
I
want to fuck him too hard, dude. You don't want to have to fuck Santa.
No, I'm with
Well,
you.
you do want to have to fuck Santa.
Oh, interesting.
Hot
You
takes.
want to
straight out the gate.
You don't want to fuck Santa, but you want to have to fuck Santa.
That's
Yes,
right.
that is
That's what
the way I like to think about it.
That's the spirit of Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody.
I mean, would that be
Rape? Yes,
well,
it would be rape.
They'd have to change, and we would be rape. But I'm just thinking about how you'd have to really change the story of Santa. You'd have to make him a hunk.
Yeah.
And Santa and I'm trying to think of like what's a girl's name for Santa? What would be the equivalent?
Samantha.
Santa.
That sounds like a microchip company, but I like it.
That sounds like a microchip company.
Symantec.
Symantec. Santa and Symantec. One of which comes down, and you have to have sex with them before they leave your home. That's what it is. You have sex with them, and then they leave, but they don't leave until you do that.
That's
and they do that literally to every home in the world.
And that's how you get your presents.
Spread of STDs every Christmas. Nobody looks forward to Christmas. It's just like a horrifying holiday. Everybody dreads it every year.
At least you know it's going to be quick.
I'm trying to change it. What's that?
At least you know it's going to be quick.
You don't know that.
They've got to get to all these houses.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, but I'm forgetting magic.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. You can. Yeah,
duh.
Come on.
Forgot magic.
Did you forget the spirit of Christmas?
Yeah, they can make it as long as they want.
Man, what a joy. What a joy this time of year and a chance to talk about the big important things.
Mm-hmm.
Having sex with Santa Claus. I have a tattoo. It's not a big tattoo. I have a tattoo that says Hail Santa. That
cool.
That's like it's got Santa giving like the devil horns.
It's
actually my dumbest tattoo. It's probably my least favorite of my tattoos, but it's also like the easiest to talk about.
Oh, I love that.
It has the least meaning. All my other tattoos are like
we all need a shit tattoo.
Rasputin. Yeah, you have your snake.
Mm-hmm.
Freed, of all the years I've known you, Freed, you've never talked about your shit tattoo. What do you have again?
I have some self-induced scarring that I would consider my shittiest tattoo, but I didn't get it. I haven't got any tattoos. I'm the guy.
Your body's a temple, though.
I could never decide on one thing forever. I guess I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know. I could never. A lot of things about tattoos, but the two things are I can't decide on the one thing forever, and I would feel like I'd have to wash it off all the time. I think it would bug me or something.
Yeah. I totally hear you.
You get used to it once you have 35 or so.
Yeah. Well, having a lot of tattoos feels like it's more comfortable in a way than just one like random.
Yes.
One feels
I agree with that.
Like you got a sticker on your shoulder that somebody put there on a bus.
And I feel like there's so much more meaning associated with just if you're like, I have one tattoo and this is it. And everyone's like, wow, that must mean a whole lot to you, as opposed to, yeah, I got a snake here. I got like fucking Santa Claus on my ass.
It's actually more interesting to talk to the guy with one tattoo, right?
Yeah. You're like, tell me everything about that American.
I think about that one lone tattoo.
I would get like after I did like a big wave surf competition and I won it, I'd get like a big wave tattoo on my back and be like, I'm done, you know? And then of course I wouldn't have to wear a shirt anywhere because people would be like, what's that for? And I would always say, oh, you mean this big wave tattoo from the competition I won?
You could even like write underneath like big wave open 1996. And then you don't even have to tell them. You're just like, why don't you just read?
It's a good point. It should definitely.
Why don't you just read?
Read assholes. I won this.
What can you not read, you idiot? Go back to first grade, you stupid.
Stupid. I'm the guy with one tattoo.
I love that too, because you'd be the guy on the beach where people would be like, "Hey man, nice tattoo. Where's that from?" And then their friend would be like, "Don't ask him. Don't ask him." And then he walks away and be like, "What was that all about?" I'd be like, "Dude, you don't know who that is?
That's Ripper McCracken, dude.
He won the Big Wave Open in 1997. That's Ripper McCracken.
The biggest wave in 97 was like 17 feet tall. That's huge.
He won.
Pulled out a sandwich halfway down the wave, ate it. The wave was that long.
That's how long.
Now he's got a sandwich named after him at every sandwich shop in San Diego.
Raven. I don't know how to segue out of this into the scam chat today.
No.
Well, Ripper McCracken got his start scamming for sure. I mean,
yeah, you got to start calling. You got to start buying PlayStations and selling them for a higher price.
Ripper McCracken is such a deadbeat dad that he goes around during the week before Christmas and steals packages for his own kids that don't talk to him, and then
and they know, so they still don't talk to him. They're like, "Dad, you stole these from needy families. Fuck you."
You know what's interesting about that actually is as silly as it is, and how much Annie, we got serious Saturday morning energy right now. I will say.
I like it.
This is definitely like peak Saturday morning style. But we so first of all, this is Did You Reddit, a weekly podcast about the internet by way of Reddit, the front page of the internet. My name is It's Your Dad.
I'm Dog Boobs.
Ripper McCracken out here holding it down.
Holding it down.
I think maybe you need to change your
my free day. Or you mean Tim Allen is my name is My Free Day. For all you listeners out there who are just tuning in.
For all you just tuning in, you missed a good little preamble there. If you're listening at home, sorry. So before we get into this, so today we're going to be talking about scammers, and we're we were going to do. So last week we did what was it called? The what was that fucking topic we did last week? I don't remember.
It was called The Details of the Beat Me. Respect the thread. Respect
thread. There we go. So respect threads. We were gonna do who would win as the subreddit dedicated entirely to who would win in a fight. But I feel like this has been a popular week for scams, for things surrounding scams, for things surrounding video games, because some hot goss in the cyberpunk community that I thought I would do an audible and talk about Scam the Scammers, which is a new subreddit that is really not that complicated, but it hits at a couple different things that I think are all very interesting. And it's like the latest version in a, we all know what scammers are doing. People love being creative on the internet. How do we scam those people and then make it our content? It's kind of like one of those things. So we're going to talk about that today, but I think in terms of part of what makes this interesting too, and why I think I think one of you guys were referencing glitter or something. So Mark Rober, I don't know if you guys know Mark Rober, the famous. He's actually pretty fucking good, to be honest. But he and this is a video. This is not his latest video. He is the guy who made the glitter bot. This is the thing where Amazon package stealers like this. If you're watching this, I'm showing the latest Mark Rober video.
Glitter bomb.
He created the glitter bomb. He's like that scientist, or he's the engineer who used to be I believe he used to be a NASA scientist. Started just making fun things, maybe for his kids or maybe in general. And now has kind of become this like mega. He's like probably one of the most famous YouTubers in the world.
I love him.
Essentially creating engineering things, and his latest is the third version of a project he started that kind of was his breaking point, in my opinion, where so Amazon porch pirates are obviously a big thing. People grab your Amazon packages from your porch, they take them home, they go, "Johnny, I got a new present for you," and then they pretend it's their own. And he created a thing that essentially pranks those people who do that with a fake box and then
I love
glitter bomb and fart spray and stuff. So
I think we need to reinstitute the trap door on the front porch.
Love it.
From days of old that goes down into like a cold
into your cellar.
Yeah, into a cellar, and then you wake up with a couple broken ankles, and creepy grandma's there, and she's like, "What shall we do with him, Pa?"
Yes,
and it's obviously eat them.
But
that feels like we just do a couple of those a year, and Porch Pirates would be done.
I think so too.
And this is kind of the resonant theme of today's pod. I think is there are scams are interesting because there's always new ones. There are whole industries in certain countries. I know Nigeria has a huge scamming industry. Obviously, India has a huge scamming industry. Like there are places where it's legitimate.
Jamaica's the new one.
Jamaica. There's a place where they have legitimate. It's a legitimate form of income,
right?
But we're also finding new and clever ways to combat it. Everything down to like literally the "Are you a bot?" checker when you go to like any website, which is interesting, and down to like stuff like this where Mark Rober has a video with 14 million views right now. It came out 2 days ago. And it's all entirely dedicated to him doing like this engineering feat for Porch Pirates. So
and I just saw his latest video has Macaulay Culkin in it, who's probably just a casual fan of the guy's YouTube.
I love it.
And like that's awesome.
No, the thing
I'm not even gonna read into it, dude. I'm just gonna guess.
So it's the Christmas, the Home Alone.
Yes.
And coming up with engineering things by way of Home Alone. So that's
but how but did he reach out to Macaulay Culkin's people, or did Macaulay Culkin reach out to him because he thinks this guy rules? That's the beauty of the internets, right?
Good question.
Macaulay Culkin's just sitting around cashing checks still. And he's probably like, this guy seems cool. I'll go check his house out. And
this is great.
This is awesome.
Yeah, he's great. But anyway, so check that out. I feel like that's very of the times right now.
What this guy should come up with, and I know that we'll talk about this, is with the COVID vaccine, there are going to be a lot of scammers out there trying to skim vaccines off the top and
I've already sold some questionable vaccines that I've made in my garage.
Just fill it with skunk essence.
Oh, bird.
So that's an interesting. So really quickly too, we're gonna go over Scam the Scammers as a sub, but it's relatively simple. The reason I want to talk about this was more like the topic at large because we are at the holidays, a lot of scamming going on, and it's kind of an interesting thing because also in the midst of the economic crisis. Like I feel like scamming.
What's that?
There's an element of like when you think of scammers, you often think of bad people, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the same math anymore. I feel like there's a little bit of like, well, I had to. Like I don't have a job. The government's not helping. Like I got to get something for my kids for Christmas, so I had to grab this thing. Sorry, right? Like I don't know. I don't know, but I feel like there's a little bit of that attitude, and that's kind of the logic I think in Africa and places like that. It's like. Got to make a buck somehow, right?
Yeah.
So why not scam these idiot Americans? Which I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, why not, right? So,
so you're pro scamming. That's your stance. You're pro theft and pro scamming. Interesting take.
Yes, I'm pro. My whole thing, and I've been saying this for years, is if you see an Amazon package,
take it.
Public property.
That's yours.
Like, you get it. It's yours, right? No,
until you come to my house and you hit the detachable porch, and Gam Gams is gonna eat your feet.
You want to hear a little tidbit about my mom's neighbor who stole?
I would love to hear that.
We got some delicious pecans delivered. Okay.
Ooh, love
pecans, and they're not just plain pecans. They are Valdona pecans, and they've got cranberries. They've got black pepper. They've got just like orange zest. They're like in little bags. They're delicious. So they got delivered to the wrong guy, who's this kind of like washed up guy who says he's on disability, but he seems okay. He seems okay to me. He said, so anyway, we do a little investigating, because you know how Amazon will send a picture of like, here, we put it on your porch, and we were like, that porch looks mighty familiar. So we find out it's gone to this guy, and we ask him about it, and he has already eaten a bag.
Oh, amazing.
And he apologizes and says, "I'm so sorry. I thought that one of my fans sent it to me."
That's always the best response.
Wait,
And
so what does he do that he would have fans?
OnlyFans, if you ask me. He's a big OnlyFans guy, right?
He might be an OnlyFans guy. All I know about him is, you know what? He's written one book, like a spy book in the 90s.
Ooh,
Obviously, one of his fans sent him Valdona pecans.
that's so. Yeah, I guess
not offer to reimburse us for the bag he ate.
Fascinating.
That's so trashy to get caught stealing somebody's food from next door.
And you ate it already, and you won't even be like, "Here's $5 for that pecan bag I ate."
How are you going to rectify that?
Right.
I mean, if let's put ourselves in this guy's shoes. I guess I think my strategy would be to just deny it till my deathbed, and then on my deathbed admit it, of course, to my family.
Right.
I took the pecans.
The biggest regret of my life.
Pecans.
The biggest regret of my life is stealing all of those kids' pecans.
Fucking asshole.
That's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to I feel like that's a early childhood morality test that you hear about a lot, is people being like, if you find $20 on the ground, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
Right? If you find someone's purse, what do you do? And I mean, it not to sound like a goddamn boomer, but there is a change in our collective morality as, I think, a country. And I don't, good or bad, I mean, who knows, but it is interesting thinking about, the porch pirate thing is such an interesting trend where I don't know, but like presumably there wasn't a lot of stolen package type shit in the 90s.
Yeah, it feels like maybe that was like when getting packages delivered to you was more novel, maybe.
And maybe we're just like getting so many packages now that, like, I mean, I will say very definitively, I've certainly like ordered things and been like, it didn't come or something, and I just go, and then I just like forget about it, and I don't even, and like later on I'll be like, fuck, didn't I buy that? It never came, did it? Shit. And so I feel like there's just an element of short-term memory loss that we all kind of are. Porch pirates happen, and we just go, weird. It's funny that didn't come. Whatever.
Good point. Good point.
And Amazon itself is a complicated company right now that I think is I feel like there's a little bit of a Robin Hood thing too, where I can see eco-terrorism kind of vibes where someone goes like, oh well, Amazon's a man, so who fucking cares? They'll steal that shit all day. We should chill because it says Amazon, But anyway, okay. So before we get into the page, or we can just get into it, do you guys have anything on the front page you want to talk about?
Ooh.
Anything of interest?
Will Smith's on here twice. His meme, two separate memes. So man, people love hating on Will Smith.
Why?
I mean, he's an easy guy to hate on. He's like, because he just feels like he takes it,
Well, he's got it all too. It's kind of this. He's essentially Amazon, right? He's got 30 plus years of success, and handsome children, a attractive wife who apparently was like sleeping with some rapper, is what that all was about, and told him on TV, and they cried. Right? That's the story.
Really? Is that what happened?
That's what that Will Smith crying meme is. Like, his wife like had him on her daytime talk show and was like basically saying like, I'm sleeping with some other guy, like casually.
Right.
And he sat there and cried.
That's right.
And it's just bizarre TV for starters, but also like, anyway.
I felt for him. And here's the thing.
It's weird.
Men in Black, loved Wild Wild West. Like, he's seems like such a good-natured guy. Yeah, woo! We love him. I feel bad for him. I feel bad that Jada had entanglements with another guy.
Wait, is this recent news or is this?
It was like I want to say it was
3 months.
Was it early 2020 maybe? It might have got like covered over with the COVIDs.
Yeah, it was.
What happened on the front page that this is like the thing that's triggering you?
So now there's the meme of Will Smith looking sad and crying that's been going around is his reaction from when she told him about.
Oh,
so that's what actually happened in the moment. But then the photograph has become the meme of him just being, whatever the meme is, right? So there's one on the top of the front page. The meme is me getting off my computer. Good night, FBI agent. And then underneath it says the NSA agent being called the FBI agent for 10 years. I don't know. It's an NSA meme.
I see what you're saying. Oh, I didn't know that's what that was from. Like I know the image you're talking about, and I'm looking at it right now. I'll actually pull it up on my screen.
Here, I'm sharing mine. If you guys take a look.
So we should know your meme, maybe. But
there you go.
The entanglement.
That Will Smith entanglement meme.
Okay, so it's a reaction image series based on a screenshot of Will during a discussion about his wife Jada and her relationship with singer August Alsina on Red Table Talk. And she refers to her relationship as her entanglement, which became
talk about hot goss. My goodness.
How sad. And let's see a few examples of this.
But the Hollywood goss, the H goss about them is that they're like sort of public swingers within the Hollywood community.
Right. Huh. They seem like they're into it. But
yeah, so this might be a little trumped up here.
I'd have sex with Will Smith if he was in fact Santa Claus.
Apparently, if you go over there, you have to. It's not it's part of the. It's like have a pecan, now have sex with Will Smith.
Yeah. And here's the thing: I bet August went over to have sex with both of them, and Will was just not there that night.
He was at Trader Joe's or something.
Yes. So you guys want to?
It's not Jada's fault. I think Jade is a very, very beautiful woman as well. I feel like she's her facial structure is like very clean.
Yeah,
she looks like a futuristic a galaxy tribesman. You know what I mean? Somebody who's not of this earth.
Yeah, she looks like here's the thing. You know what? I recently watched Scream, and she was really good at Scream. I think Scream 2. She was in Scream 2, and she was so beautiful. And like looking at her now, you can tell she's had a little bit of like fillers, just a little bit. But my God, she hasn't aged at all. She looks so fantastic.
It is true what they say.
If you're interested, we can see Will Smith cry real quick.
Decided we were going to take our space, and what happened?
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August, an entanglement, an entanglement, an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August.
I love a good remix.
Okay, I didn't know this was the version, but I love it.
What an entanglement? What a weird word choice.
An entanglement.
Oh, is that August right there? That guy?
I think so.
This is elite. This is elite internet right here.
This is good editing. Yeah.
And she seems so cold when she's talking about it too. It's kind of
she's like, we've talked about this before, and he's like, we haven't, hon.
That's a bummer. Okay, so that's on the front page right now.
So the question of it is he sort of pranking her in the moment where he pulls out, because these are actors, right? They can fucking cry.
That's true. That's true.
This is like a revenge moment. She's like, we're going to talk about my entanglement with August.
You're going to be cool about it. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, let's talk about it. And then he gets on and he's like, what?
What, baby? I love you.
I mean, also, you can spin the narrative, man. Gotta get those headlines. It's a really good way to do it.
It is.
And now he's kind of, one of the bigger memes of the year, if not, the biggest or up there, top three.
Yeah.
I'd say.
And for that's actually that is a very insightful point, Freed, because Will Smith is actually also probably one of the best performing and kind of well-informed internet people of his generation. I feel like the Will Smith. So Will Smith is frequently on the like YouTube Rewind, and then he's like a bona fide like TikTok superstar, like absolute superstar.
Dude, really?
And that is extremely rare for people of his like generation. Yeah,
This would be news of the century if we cracked the story that Will Smith on purpose became that meme, because he's probably one of two guys that could actually pull it off.
Yeah.
I mean, look at these GD numbers, guys. My goodness. Will Smith, 45 million followers on TikTok.
Man, he's still doing it, huh?
So he cranks out these videos, and his videos are actually pretty wild. Like they're pretty he does like magic stuff. Like this whole thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah, Will Smith still on top.
It's so fun because he's got a team of people who can edit everything for him.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's got 30 people on his staff, but hey.
But I love it anyway.
I mean, it's legit. His whole thing is just he does these crazy TikToks.
How fun!
I think they're bringing Fresh Prince back, correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
That's
but
cool.
So the conspiracy that you unraveled there, Freed, is the idea that
feels pretty controversial.
Well, I feel like Will Smith, like there's a little bit of a manipulate the internet so that you can be relevant on it energy, which is like the Kim Kardashian sex tape model, right? Like Kim Kardashian released a sex tape. Be like, who's Kim Kardashian? Be like, she's famous. You never heard of her? Oh, I'll look at that sex tape. She's famous.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Like famous person. And then all of a sudden Kim Kardashian's famous, and you're like, what, how did she become famous? I don't know. She was like the daughter of like an Olympian. Is that it?
Right.
Yeah. Do you remember she was like fourth banana to Paris Hilton?
Yes.
Yeah. She was like Paris Hilton's assistant or whatever.
Yeah. Fourth banana. You're right. She was like her.
Maybe even fifth banana. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the banana ranking system, but
yeah, not
down.
I'm very familiar.
Okay.
I know your wife is in the fashion industry, so she probably knows all about the banana ranking. So I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, I pull this straight off the covers of Vogue.
Right. But here's the thing, like, you're right. Kim used to be like a stylist for Paris,
right.
And not a very good one at that. Remember what Paris used to wear? A lot of velour.
Yeah, velour, man. It had a pretty hot comeback. I mean, it looks comfortable, to be fair to velour, but
to be fair,
it does look very comfortable. I think it is very comfortable. I think that's kind of the whole point. But I would say so. Paris Hilton, and then we'll go on to talk about scamming, or if there's anything else on the front page you guys want to discuss. There is actually probably one thing that segues perfectly into scamming that may be news to all of you. But Paris Hilton. So you live in Los Angeles. Every once in a while, you'll see a celebrity. I do not seek them out, nor do I care. I never really have. And
why are you selling all those star maps? I see you every day selling star maps.
I gotta make a buck. It's the tough economy. But I think most. I mean, you guys are probably the same thing where it's like you'll see them, but even now with the contemporary the like celebrity world now. I don't know any of these people. They're on like One Tree Hill and shit. And I'm just like, I don't know what that is. But then I'll see like people flock around them and make a big to-do about it. Now, the reason I say that is the one person that I've really seen that I was like, holy shit, was Paris Hilton. And the reason I reacted that way is because I was like, I've never thought she was attractive at all. I thought she was like a very like skeletal, weird looking person.
Yeah.
But in real life, I was like, oh, she's beautiful, actually.
Wow.
Like, she was like a very like I was like, damn, like she's actually like a very attractive looking person.
Yeah.
Which I was like, it was kind of blew my mind.
It kind of blows my mind when you look at like if celebrities were playing cards and you just kind of span them all out. And you look at even like the oogliest one is way hotter than the regular human. And like, just think of like the hottest one.
I know.
Would you even survive seeing them?
the hottest one. Would you even survive? It's a great question because I'm not sure if I survived this or not, depending on how you feel about.
You're definitely
current state.
you
But
living in a parallax universe.
I also saw Mr. David Beckham.
Oh, that guy's a real hunk.
And so I saw he and his wife at a restaurant that we were eating at.
His wife? You mean Posh Spice?
Posh Spice. And Beckham, I was like, oh my God, like, dude, this guy is so handsome. It's insane.
Yeah.
And Posh, I was like, nah, take it or leave it.
Really? Well,
I think it's a style thing. I mean, she's a very like specific looking person.
Yeah.
But,
And
I was just like, and yeah, Beckham is like the traditional, like he just looks like a handsome man. You know,
you'd rather sleep with David than Posh, which I think I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, if push came to shove and one of them came down the chimney at Christmas time, and I was forced to have sex with Santa Claus, and that person was one of the two,
hoping it's David.
Probably David. Yeah. It's tough though. It's a really tough choice.
What do you guys think about ugly people not being on TV enough?
I think
there's a lot of ugly people on TV. I think
I've been doing
created an empire based on ugly people being on TV.
Who has?
TLC.
Oh, well, they're kind of specifically going for ugly people. I'm talking about like people that are employed.
Oh, like actors.
Even like news people, actors, everyone is. I'm just starting to come up with a plan here that, yes, there's a lot of inequalities on race and gender and sexuality going on, but also the ugly people are not getting their fair shake in this day and age. And I think we got to give them a chance. I want to do a news network with very ugly people.
That's what I want to.
What are we using as the term for ugly? Because I feel like ugly is good for funny.
Yeah, the opposite of ugly is good looking, and I think good looking in general to us is something that's extremely proportionally perfect, right? Like some version of that.
Okay.
I'm just going off of how we seem to pick people as a society.
So the reason I ask is because another thing
I want oblong eyes. I want basically Chunk or Sloth from Goonies. Somebody like that.
What about Steve Brule?
He would be considered very ugly. He's fantastic.
A great, like, newscaster.
He is the best face of all time. I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
he's who I want coming down the chimney.
Steve Brule is like one of the greatest character
all time.
How do I phrase this? I mean, it's an amazing character, but what makes it truly amazing is the fact that John C. Reilly plays him, and John C. Reilly is an Oscar-winning actor. Like it feels like Steve Brule was pulled straight from public access TV, and like to be able to be that it requires just an immense amount of acting.
Brilliant talent.
He's so fucking funny as that character.
Funny. I love it.
So the last thing we'll talk about on the front page before we get into the scamming conversation, which we have about 45 minutes left, so we want to get to it. But so Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
This was an interesting week. Last week, or last episode rather, if you remember, and this just goes to show how much shit changes in a week. I was like, Cyberpunk comes out tonight. Fuck yes. I can't fucking wait. I've been looking forward to this game for a goddamn year, right?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely 100% true. And it came out, and it has been so bad and so broken.
Glitchy.
So glitchy that PlayStation has removed it from its store.
No.
Which is actually like it truly insane, right?
After like the hype and the money that went into like the campaign, the launch for this whole thing, to remove it from the store because it was so not ready.
Well,
wow.
And this is the thing is like, this has been complicated because a lot of people have been.
Is that stock image grandpa guy?
That stock image grandpa guy, yeah.
Oh my God, is he a real character?
No. That's just.
I'm like, did they just phone it in and?
So this is the interesting news here, I guess, is so and this is actually kind of why it's a really interesting segue, I think, into the scam conversation, is when this announcement came out, and the announcement, let me see if I can actually pull it up. Let's see here. So Mega Thread, Cyberpunk 2077 refunds on PlayStation and Xbox. I don't see where it says it was pulled from PlayStation, but it was actually trending on Twitter, so it was like major national news. But it has separated the gaming community because PC gamers are like, what are you talking about? This is awesome. It runs fine. And then next gen console gamers are kind of doing the same thing, but there's very few of them because the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, I believe, is so hard. It's so hard to get right now, particularly the PlayStation, because the demand is just like through the roof and they just don't have enough. So every day there are like, you know, I follow a ton of these accounts that really want a PlayStation 5. I can't figure out how to get one, but there are like Twitter accounts and Discord servers and fucking websites all dedicated to letting you know when a new restock is happening on Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop, Amazon, wherever. And so, you know, you do it, you sign up, and I've noticed, like, I will like be the first person, like, I swear to God, I see this tweet and I'm like, all right, I'm on Walmart, I'm at the page.
Right.
And then the second the page goes live, it's sold out. And I'm just like, God damn it, this is insane. And the reason I think is bots. I think it's just like bots like taking them all up. But so that as it pertains to Cyberpunk, so basically what happened was the game came out. All the previews make it look insane. It looks amazing. It's truly probably the most hyped game I've ever seen. Like, I've never seen a game hyped this much. And this is the creators of Witcher 3, and The Witcher was, you know, it's like now a successful TV show, very successful game, like very well loved game. Like The Witcher is considered one of the greatest games of the previous generation of consoles. So everybody is psyched about this game. It comes out. All the reviewers and the journalists can only review PC versions of the game, evidently, is what I've heard. So, which, you know, if it's meant to be played on a PC, it makes sense to some degree.
Okay.
But the game comes out, and the majority of gamers right now are playing on consoles.
Right.
And because nobody has a next gen console, most people are playing on a PS4 or an Xbox One or whatever.
Right.
So it's not. So it's the computer speed, RAM, etc. that people just don't have to process this game because it's a new game.
I think that's part of it. I mean, it's an ever barbed path because this is complicated for a lot of reasons, but this game has been pushed back its release date multiple times. So now it came out December 10th, but originally it's supposed to come out in mid-November, which means that it would have come out before the next gen of gaming consoles. So people are what they have done is they basically just did not give enough time to the previous generation of gaming for the game. So the PS4, Xbox One has tons of glitches, and I think the logic is that people are just like, they didn't give enough time to fixing it because this is made for the next gen.
Right.
But everybody's like, what are you talking about? This came out a week after the next gen console.
Yeah.
What are you talking? It's clearly not made for the next gen. It should be made for this. So it's a very scammy thing, but it's caused a huge uproar. It's been like the big talk this past week because obviously now it's taken off the page. They're offering refunds. Sony's offering refunds. Everybody's offering refunds. I'm keeping the game because I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
This is an artifact.
It's an artifact, but it's also like, I mean, they are going to re-release it. It's too big of a game, and it's like, it has too much promise, even in the broken version, for it to like just die. Like I think it has to do this, but a lot of people are like, it's like the Fire Fest of games, essentially, right? Where people are just like, it's gonna be the greatest thing ever, and then they go, holy shit, like none of this works.
What a shit show.
And there's a COVID element to this in the sense maybe that they're just trying to, you know, they know everyone's stuck at home buying video games, and if they don't have their shit out and ready, it's like a huge lost opportunity.
Yeah.
So
I think that's part of it. And I mean, I also just think that it's like they were going to lose anyway because it's been so hyped for so long.
Yeah.
That if they would have delayed it again, people would have lost their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Right? And so they didn't delay it. It came out half baked. You go, fuck, man, like this is so frustrating. And so, but anyway, the big narrative here for me, there's a lot of narratives of the Cyberpunk thing, but one of the big narratives is the next gen console conversation, which is really what the subreddit we're talking about today is all about, which is where to go, scam the scammers. Did I lose it? So scam the scammers is entirely, or I'm sorry, it's called scam the scalpers, not scammers, but it is entirely about scamming people who are trying to sell their next gen consoles at an inflated rate. And this is what I love about this sub is it is meant to, let me pull it up on the screen. It's really like celebrating the like reciprocal scam of people trying to sell these next gen consoles. And this is kind of a trend that's happening right now, which is why we started talking about Mark Rober. Is there's a whole thing about like, we know who these scammers are, we know what's going on, and we get a lot of self-satisfaction, I think, as people seeing these scammers get scammed at their own game, or at the very least getting put in uncomfortable situations. Like, it's kind of the greatest schadenfreude. And Mark Rober did it really well with kind of the fart and glitter bomb. And a lot of the people here, I think the common thread from what I'm seeing is like, you do these meetups where someone's like, hey, is 1,200 your best offer? And be like, yeah, I can't do it for less than 1,200. And they like go, all right, cool, I'll meet you at the Wendy's. Be like, all right, I'm at the Wendy's. Be like, oh, sorry, dude, wrong Wendy's, man. I meant the other one across town. And be like, oh yeah, that one. No, I'm on my way there. Oh, I'm there right now. Where are you? I'm in the white van. Oh, I don't see a white van. Wait, which Wendy's are you at? Oh shit, I'm at this one. And they just drag them around until they go, oh yeah, I was never there. I never came. Good luck selling your shit.
Fuck you for trying to do this. Right. I love that. I just found this one too. This is really freaking funny. This one is taking like scalpers who put their phone numbers on and they're like, I'm selling PS4 for $4 million. Or PS5 for $4 million. So they take the number and then post the ad for a very reasonable price everywhere.
Right.
So the scalper gets flooded with like hundreds of calls being like, oh, you're selling a PS5 for $600? Like, yeah, we want it. And so this guy wrote back to the guy and he's like, you motherfucker, if I find out who you are, I'll ruin your life. I'll sue you for impersonation, you cocksucker. You can't give out my personal number. I've gotten 20 calls and 50 texts in the past hour, and I can't run my business. Take your ad down now or I'll sue you for business losses. And this guy just goes, yes, it's available. I love it.
I mean, this is the joy. This is what's so interesting about this, because it is like, I deeply, deeply sympathize with this sub right now, because my thing this week was I tried to get a PlayStation like 5 times this week, and I would literally, it'd be in the middle of the day, I would get a text alert or I'd get a Twitter alert that was just like, PS5 is going to be available on the direct store on PlayStation in 10 minutes. I like sit in line and I wait, and then all of a sudden it's just like, you'll be next in 45 minutes. And then like 10 minutes goes by and it goes, we're out of PlayStations. Sorry. Good luck next time.
Good luck.
It's like, oh my God. And then,
Jesus.
And then on Best Buy, Walmart, like, all these retailers have been selling them this week as well. And every fucking time it literally, like, you can't even get in. And I'm just like, part of it is that, but part of it is the bots. And like, it just feels like we're watching in real time this strange system happen.
Yes.
And so now what I love about this though is it's like, there's a little bit of two can play at this game, but in the two can play at this game, there's also like a mutual respect that comes with it.
Yes.
Where you kind of get like, I'll find a couple. What were you going to say, Freed?
Oh, just back to the PS5. I mean, it's just a distribution. Is this a COVID distribution issue, or?
I remember Dad saying before, isn't it something to do with the fact that they are like not being mass produced? That they're like, the PS5 is not being mass produced.
But is it because yeah? Why?
Like being whittled together by little elves, and like everyone is etched with a name and it's all perfect and bespoke.
Bespoke. I like a wooden gaming system, something that's made by
exactly.
I mean that's cool if that's what it is. Like it's literally like a Rolex or something where it's like some Swiss watchmaker builds each one part by part.
Yeah. Or a Keebler elf puts it
It
together.
just seems like a shitty business plan for those guys, I guess. I don't get it.
Well, I think that there's a few different things happening, and this is kind of what I love about all of this, actually, because I think this is like my conspiracy theory hat a little bit. This is like my
Will Smith. Will Smith is behind it all.
Tube that you're finding. You
mean alt tube spelled with 3 O's?
I think that there's so the distribution issue is basically that Japan produces all of them in Japan. Which is a big deal, but the part of the reason that's a big deal is because I don't know how Xbox is doing theirs, but I know that Japan has is decreasing its industrial production out of China, or they're taking it out of China. So I imagine with the PlayStation, they've always done them in Japan.
Yeah,
but I think this is an interesting ripple where you're kind of seeing what happens when you strip out that kind of like mass production made with Uyghur, like baby Uyghur hands, in China for 50 cents a dollar or 50 cents an hour.
In general, the label of made in Japan now is like made in Germany.
Totally,
and this has nothing to do with World War II and
I mean, it might actually. I mean, there might be said for like the rebuilding of a culture after a devastation.
If you're a historian and you disagree that it has nothing to do with
it probably has everything to do with World War II. But I know my wife, who works in the clothing and fashion world, she's constantly saying, like, if it's made in Japan, the quality of the clothing is like the best, the highest, like very good, versus China is like garbage. And that's, so if these things are actually produced there, maybe there's something to be said about getting the best thing you can get. I mean, it's the Rolex of watches. It's the Swiss made.
And it's like ethical production, maybe.
But I don't think. I mean, that's ultimately not the reason. I mean, that's a part of it, but that's not the reason why the PlayStation's so popular. Of course, I mean, it's a next gen console. I mean, the PlayStation 4 was around for 10 years or something. Like when these things come out, it's a big moment. And like, I didn't get a PlayStation 4 until like 3 years into its life cycle. I'm going to get a PlayStation 5 earlier because I just have I love gaming now. I just think it's like a really, really rad thing.
A great way to time this world.
Well, it's also like it feels more than ever like it is important to understand and pay attention to gaming because it is genuinely a part of the mass pop culture. Not some weird fringe thing, right? If I tell people that I'm like a gamer, I'm not going to get the same level of like weird hostility that I maybe used to get when I was like an adult gamer younger, right? Now it's kind of like, yeah, of course. Like, do you have Netflix? Do you have a PlayStation? Why wouldn't you? Right?
Everybody does.
Are you on OnlyFans? Yeah, all of it.
All are.
But
on OnlyFans.
Yeah,
of course. Why not?
Obviously.
But I think that
Disney star now I jerk it on OnlyFans.
Exactly.
That's pretty standard these days.
Exactly.
But I do. That's actually another. I don't want to open this Pandora's box, but there's been a wild thing. Maybe we'll talk about Pornhub next time and the kind of the crazy news that came from Pornhub this week.
Pornhab's again on the forefront of.
Well, they completely
social change.
All their rules and regulations because of like a New York Times piece. I don't want to open up that box. It's a whole different thing. But when it comes to the PlayStation,
that's a good name for a porn star too. Pandora's box.
I'm guaranteed that already exists. Yeah. But yes, so the PlayStation 5. So the scammers are out in full effect. This sub is dedicated to it, and I think that we are at a holiday time where, Freed, I think you brought it up earlier about COVID being a potentially scam heavy thing. And, there's something really what I think I love about this sub, because it's a very simple sub. Like we haven't read stats about it or anything, because there's really not a lot to get from it. It's really like at its core, this was started like 15 days ago. Like it's a brand new sub, and it's in direct response to PS5 scalpers. It's like creating a culture in real time. And I think we're seeing new and clever ways for it to happen. But it is like the latest in a series of bigger kinds of things like this, which is people seeking justice, seeking like vigilante justice outside of the world of real justice, because no one does anything about scammers.
It's like people are tired of being exploited, especially this year, especially after like the hardships that everyone's been through. It's like this was like the final straw, and I would love to see this subreddit, and it will live on and fuck over scalpers of different kinds. And
I would love to see this become almost like a competitive thing, right? Like, I mean, there became a thing where, like, when the Karen phase or the Karen craze was at its like peak, you know, there were a bunch of subs and a bunch of Instagram accounts that were all about documenting kind of the bad behavior of these Karens.
I stopped going to parks for like 2 summers because I was afraid of running into a Karen.
Yeah, or being called a Karen.
Or being called a Karen. Yeah. But there was an element. It almost feels like there's a little bit of a like catch the Karen in the wild and get internet points kind of vibe.
Ooh, yeah.
And I feel like, and this is a little bit similar, where it's like it's no longer just like, oh, I got scammed. It's like, and you see this a lot on Choosing Beggars. It's another popular subreddit where you see this, where you'll see somebody post something, it'll be like, I never thought it would happen to me. Never thought I'd catch one in the wild.
Yeah.
But I got one, you know? And with this, it's a little bit of like
seeking it out.
People who may not have even wanted a PlayStation are now into the idea of pursuing it just to get the vengeance.
Yeah.
Because it's so satisfying seeing scammers get a taste of their own medicine.
I like that.
It's like busting guys who steal rhino tusk.
Yeah.
I think it's very
elephant
similar.
horn.
I think it's a similar thing, but it's also similar in the economics of it. Like, that's what's so fascinating about this, is because like the poaching world is similar, where everybody thinks poachers are the scum of the earth, undeniable. However, it's not really, they don't do that because they're evil.
Yeah.
They're doing that because they can't survive.
Yeah.
They need money, and they just get lopped into it, right?
Yeah, it's not like poachers are living in these mansions made out of tusks. It's like they're all so poor, and like this is like a way that they know how to make money. It's all sad. It's all
sad. Exactly. It's like this is a byproduct of capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Well, you make something valuable, and there's going to be people that are going to be, willing to take the risk to get that value and also make their penises bigger, and that's why I use rhino tusk.
Yeah. I actually just read, speaking of like crazy scammers, I read an article about how in Kenya, stealing babies is like huge. Huge. And like it's like a
human babies
industry, like babies, because so many poor women and like unwed mothers in Kenya and probably in a lot of African countries are like very looked down upon. You can't.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, they like in this article, and I should find it and really cite it, but it was about like a lot of these women they think they meet a guy who's going to marry them. They get impregnated, the guy takes off, and suddenly they're living on the streets begging because they have this baby they can't feed. And they can't get a job, and their family doesn't want them anymore, because the whole point of having daughters in these really traditional communities is like marry them off, and then if you have sons, the sons work, whatever. So there are brokers that will send people out into the streets to steal the babies of women who are begging because they don't have any recourse. So there's like this huge black market for either selling the babies to people who want to adopt illegally or selling them for people who want to do rituals.
Wow.
Yeah, the ritual game over there is no joke.
No.
God forbid you're an albino, you are fucked over there.
Oh yeah.
Right?
And I guess, I mean, the resonant theme of all that, which is just what makes this so crazy, is just like, I think it's a little bit of like our human will to survive, right? Where, there's something like, it's almost like the capitalist intention of our society is like built into our core.
Yeah.
And we are in a constant fight against or for it, right? Where like the idea of, I mean, and maybe, I mean, would it be any different if we didn't have, I don't want to sound like some fucking freaky communist, even though I am, but even
communism
if, like,
works every time.
It does work every time. But no, I mean, the people, like the stealing of the children thing is interesting because if we didn't have a society where capitalism was the dominant like ideological survival methodology, right?
Yeah.
Would we still like it almost feels instinctual that someone would be like, oh, you don't have a baby and you want a baby, and that person has a baby and can't take care of that baby. Well, why don't you redistribute that? You know what I mean? Like that feels. And then somebody on the other side goes like, if I'm the redistributor, maybe I could like be the redistributor, and like that feels like that's what capitalism is all about, is somebody being like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Maybe I should do this more and on a bigger scale and make more money doing it.
Yeah, it creates a market.
Totally. But then it also like that seems like it's entirely outside of the purviews of what the capitalist system is all about, which is like generating money,
right?
For growth. You know what I mean? It feels like that's entirely about just like, well, if I do that well, and there's a supply and demand, then I could just be that. Like if somebody needs it, if somebody wants it, and I'm good at it, I'll just be the guy, right?
Yeah. And this
So
seems like it's very much like predatory and like preying off of desperate people, because you've got if I'm sharing my screen for anybody who wants to read it, it's a BBC article called "The Baby Stealers," and babies are being stolen to order in Kenya to feed a thriving black market. Africa Eye, which is like an organization, infiltrated the trafficking ring, selling children for as little as 300 pounds. So like there are brokers that are extremely wealthy because they pay street, like, I'm using the term street people not to sound mean, but street people, they pay $300 for a baby, but then they turn around and sell that baby for like $3,000 to someone who wants it for a ritual or wants to raise it in another country or something like that. So like they're preying off the desperation of poor people.
Yeah, or to like look really cool in the Palisades, it would be a nice accoutrement to have a, like an orphan child from a poor country. That's like a good look,
right?
In Los Angeles, so I could see.
Bring it over to the Smith family.
Totally.
Yeah, I think a lot of people.
Proud Palisades moms until someone outs the fact that they stole that baby.
I mean, it's just
whoever checks, adopted babies records. I've never. Just like your diploma, right? Has anybody ever looked for your diploma? No.
I always ask to see the paperwork on an adopted baby.
Are you even sure you came from your mom? We don't really know where
you're right.
Well, we are, as we like continue to somewhat collapse as a, like, this is a good example of one of those things that feels like it just like slips through the cracks of bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
Where like you're right, like someone goes like, "Did you ever check the documents on that adopted baby?" and be like, "Never thought to. Is that something we should do?" And then before you know it, there's all these people that are unclaimed for, unaccounted for. Like if I guarantee, I mean, maybe I'm like delusional, but like, do you guys think you could probably find a way to get a social security card if you needed to? If you needed to just like go get one made?
Yeah, they sell them like on the streets in Los Angeles. I mean, that's like the whole deal here, right?
I feel like you could probably figure it out. Like even just think of the idea of fake IDs. Like we use fake IDs for getting into fucking clubs when you're 19, right? But
that's how I got Biden elected, dude.
That's the goddamn. That's like your public record. Like you use that as like you use that to prove that you can drive a car, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's wild to think that we can like this is the scamming thing. It's like scams are all around us, and they take different forms. And one could say that the elections are a scam. I mean, that's like kind of the common conversation right now. Is like we're talking about the elections themselves being a scam, and I think part of the reason we talk about that is because scams are so native to us now, and we're constantly having to be vigilant on how we interpret or understand what is and isn't a scam. And so, this like scam the scalpers subreddit is all about the PS5, which is this like one granular version. But then, as I was thinking about this sub and thinking about this topic, I was like, well, like Theranos, like one of the biggest Silicon Valley titans ever, was just a scam, right?
Yeah.
Like every website we go to now has like a bot checker that lets us know, that has us prove that we are not scamming to get to the site, right? And also, by the way, on that point, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, and this is something I've been thinking about. I'm trying to figure out how to do some research on it, maybe for like journalistic purposes, but like those things are getting hard, Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but like every time you do one of those bot things, it used to be just like type dad, right? And be like, all right, dad, whatever, moving in, right?
I've noticed the same thing. And they say, pick all of the street lights in this 9 image box. And I go, okay, that's pretty easy. Street lights. And I click them and they go like denied. And then I have to do it not like 17 times. And finally I get in and I can rent Mulan on Disney Plus,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, they have gotten way, way tougher, which I don't mind. I think it's good, but it's a reaction to the heightened scamming. And if we're all spending $1 billion online, I don't know about you guys, but my credit cards get jacked every 11 months, almost like, it's like every year I'm like getting a new thing for all my accounts. I got a light that's motion detector or something, and it goes off every 10 minutes. That's what's happening.
I mean, but you're right. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, the bot detection thing is kind of like the like, super digitized version of what you're seeing on the subreddit, right? Where instead of it being like, I mean, I have one pulled up. I had one pulled up here. I have one pulled up right now. I'll put it on the screen. Like this one is like 2 sellers. Like the post is, I'm starting a new Facebook game. Arrange to buy a PS5 from 2 different scalpers and then make them meet up with each other, right?
So let me just to clarify why the PS5 and the scalper thing. What is the scam on these things? Are they selling not real PS5s? Like, is it bricks in a box? No. Or it's somebody who has a PS5 and they're reselling it for more money. And
so they're scalpers. Yes. So in this capacity,
so people are just
them
anti the scalper.
Well, so the whole thing is people are upset. So they're so hard to get as is.
Yeah.
That people are really upset and annoyed that people are buying them only to resell them. So scalpers, like traditional scalping, at double, triple the retail price. So
okay, so
for people who don't like that, which I understand. Like you go to a concert, you're like, oh my god, I really want to see this concert, and be like, oh, it's sold out. How did it sell out so fast?
Right, and Aaron, me and you at the concerts,
right?
Yeah.
But so that's the whole point of this. Is I think people hate scalpers in general, for this very reason, and so people are disincentivizing the scalping process by making these people do these ridiculous things and then get caught in the act of doing it. So like these 2 people, 2 people going and meeting each other, 2 scalpers meeting each other. Like we have, I mean, this is what I love is like this sub is like this post says, let the games begin. And it's just a big thread of one person hitting all of these scalpers up. So it really is like people are turning this into a game as a way to like seek vengeance against the scalpers, which I love. I think it's a really interesting internet phenomenon, right? But that kind of going back to the bot checker thing, this is a very analog version of I think probably what happens with the bots, right? Where we have all these bot checkers in place, and then whoever develops the bot goes, oh, interesting, they're using that now. Well, I need to use image recognition to know when there's going to be one of these 7 kinds of images, right? And then whoever makes the bot checker goes, oh, interesting, they're starting to pass that up. What's a new tactic that I can use that only people know that can't, you know what I mean? And so
it's all in the game.
All the same thing. It's a big game. We are constantly in a game of scamming and scamming the scammed, right? Or scamming the scammers.
Yeah, it's I've been watching little Omar Little on The Wire recently. Season 2 is great when he's in court, but he's that character in that show is essentially his character rips off drug dealers. And the drug dealers are doing something illegal, and he's just like, well, if you're going to be doing illegal shit and killing people, I'm just going to go kill you, which is also illegal, but fuck it. And so it feels like the same in this world. Like if you're going to decide to sort of remove yourself from the customs and the rules by jacking up the price double, I might just rob you. Like,
yeah,
why, you know, if the new game is there are no rules, then that opens the door for me to, you know, basically do what I want to you as well. It's kind of the decay of decorum, you know, or the fabric is sort of becoming eroded.
Yeah.
And that's when people do wild shit.
And you know what's really interesting, and sorry to interrupt you, is that
done.
Scalping isn't illegal in every state.
Exactly.
It's like weird. And you'll get, and it's
strange
because of the capitalist bullshit. It's like, well, if someone's willing to spend $800 on a PS5, why should we sell it for $400? And it's like, I don't understand how it's not illegal to create a false shortage in supply. And I don't get that. That's not real.
Yeah, the shortage seems natural. But it is probably illegal to resell a PS5. I think it's probably not for resale kind of a law, but like who's checking that? Nobody, right? And no one's enforcing it. So, I mean, maybe we should start a new wing of the government, something with 3 letters, something sexy, something cool, something with a lot of power, a lot of Fed dollars. And we bust these bad guys.
Hell yeah.
That'd be like the most cop I'm willing to be. Is that?
I imagine that probably they have some. I mean, I imagine the FBI gets involved in kind of bigger versions of this. I think that's probably considered racketeering or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to deal with this granular stuff, and I feel like so. This one I'm looking at right now is actually quite interesting. This is 25 down from the top. It's 5 days ago. So this one is, 3 PS5s for $2,700. Target drove 1 hour to meet at Goodwill. I suggested he donate them, and he wasn't impressed. That's like the title. So what's interesting about this though is at the very end, it's you can consider donating your consoles to Goodwill since they're there. It's okay. I'm on my way to Heated Soul at the booth. You can find the units if you would like. Yada yada. So Merry Christmas, Greedy Grinch, and then. The scammer said Santa Claus doesn't exist, grow up from fantasy and live in the real world, which is an interesting response because there is an element of like the people that are scamming or the people that are getting scammed or trying to scam the scammers in this circumstance are like, oh, we got you, you scumbag, can't believe you're doing it. And the scammers are just like, everybody does this. What are you doing? Which is kind of interesting because I do agree with that a little bit, which is like, oh, you want to pretend that this doesn't exist? Well, then how does your government work? How does your fucking unions work? How does your all this shit? Like, grow the fuck up, man. This is a real world. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is kind of an interesting response because it really feels like, I mean, this is why I don't.
No one asked you to respond to my ad. No one asked you to come.
Yeah, and there's also just like the scammers themselves, I feel like are, one would say, like, you're like, oh, well, they're doing something wrong. And you're like, would you do that? If you like knew that you could get a PlayStation and you knew you didn't want a PlayStation, how would you sell it? Right.
Right.
Like, are you just going to sell it by the kindness of your own heart at the retail value?
I would.
Why? You think so? Really?
I would. I did that with my Coachella tickets 2 times.
That's why you're simultaneously a good person, but not driving 2 Miatas at the same time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the only way you can get 2 Miatas, one for each foot.
Well, it's an interesting ball of wax that, you know, are you willing to sort of stretch the truth, basically, let's just say lie, to better your position in business, to get more money? I mean, is your resume a little bit fluffed? When you know, like when you talk to new clients, do you use some bullshit? How much is okay? Like how much is a fucking lie? Like I work in Hollywood.
Exactly
I'm starting to realize everyone's full of shit. Now and everyone's like, basically, you're a PA on The Office in like 1997. You talk to a guy, he's like, oh yeah, I'd made The Office. You're like, technically you were, I guess, on that show. Like you took out the trash, but like when I'm talking to you, you're telling me you're the head writer, director, and star of the show. And it's like, I think there's so much of that. And you guys work in like the marketing world. There's like a little bit of fluffology that goes into these things. How much is considered okay?
It's a breakfast campaign on my resume. I think I was like an account coordinator.
Yeah, the way I'm reading it is that you own Taco Bell.
I own it.
Joe Taco Bell. But you know what I mean? Like, how much is
right? Is like what is the acceptable amount of scamming in our society? And then
in America, it seems pretty high.
It's very high, but also I guess that's part of why I'm just so intellectually compelled by the sub. Is like,
I think in Germany
it's so high,
it wouldn't fly.
Also because it's so high, the scammers that are scamming the scalpers are equally as entitled to be doing that. Like, just by participating in the scalping process, you open yourself up to the scam, right?
Yeah.
And like, that is, I think, what's so compelling about this is like, you're seeing, I don't know where, there's a lot of instances of this as well that I can't find them right now, but there's a lot of the scammers, like you'll see them go down the process. And then at the very end, they'll be like, good one. Well played. I'm still reporting you, but well played, to the scammer of the scalper. And I'm just like, who are you reporting to? Like, I don't like what is reporting gonna solve? Like, you are scalping. And the scam, like, you are
scam the scammers. Yeah.
And it's also, I mean, it almost feels like gang warfare, right? Like, there's like, I remember I read this book called, what was it called? It was about the crack epidemic in Chicago once. And it's a really cool book. I don't know where it is. I have to figure it out and figure out what it's called. I think it was maybe called Crackland or something like that. But it was, it talked about the economics of the crack industry, essentially. And, you know, it's very, very obvious that like the systems are the exact same. They just use different methodology, and the severity is higher, right? Like, is there that much of a difference between, like, if you're a Hollywood agent working in a like legitimate industry, and somebody goes like, somebody goes like, steals your client, and you go, you're never working in this town again, I'm gonna ruin you. And then you just send these fucking malicious emails to everybody, and then they get lawsuit involved and whatever. Like, is that any different than a scammer telling somebody to go meet somewhere because they're a scalper and then being like, haha, you fucking idiot?
Right. You know what maybe we're getting at here? The core value. The personal dignity and sort of like living up to like high personal ethics and standards have been lost on, our society for the last, 60, 70 years or something.
Right.
And they seem to be deteriorating more and more. And I think that's maybe what's at the base of some of this. And, more people are willing to become Kim Kardashian, get on OnlyFans and tug it, even though I was a Disney star, sell a kid at Xbox but it's a box of rocks. Like that kind of stuff seems like, I don't know if it is, but it seems like more people are willing to cross those lines than before, when in the past, like there was a higher standard of
Right. Yeah. What's
I don't
the
know.
difference
Well,
between
there's
like
less-
this and flipping houses?
Yeah, I mean, and there's just less of a reason. Like, I mean, this is again like if you're desperate and you feel like everybody's doing it. I mean, this is like what is this? This introduces some big, broad philosophical questions, right? Like,
We
what
always get to
is-
the bottom of life on
we
this
always get to
pod.
the
So
bottom
let's
of it.
do it.
I mean, what is the like existential or philosophical value of taking the high road, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, does it?
I don't know. You can sleep at night.
Yeah.
You can look yourself in the mirror,
But it's such an
but you
interesting
can't
question.
eat.
It's like if you are in a situation where it's like, I mean, this is the again the hackneyed like if he would jump off a bridge, would you do it too? It'd be
Mhm.
like, well, if everybody was jumping off the bridge and no one was left up at the top and it was lonely and there was nothing for me to do there and there was no food and all the food was at the bottom of the bridge, probably jump off the fucking bridge, right?
Yeah, and it was a sick ass river tube party, and everyone was like
Right.
boozing it up and had their tops off. I'm partying, dude.
Right. I'd be
I'm
like,
jumping
well, but
off.
I can't go down there with all the topless babes because like I'm supposed to be up, like this is where you're supposed to be up here, right? Be like,
yeah. I'm in a relationship. It's very serious.
Very, very serious.
but it's really interesting. I mean, because that is really what this is all about. It's like it's saying like if you like what is the in a society where morals have degraded to such a degree, what is there a value in taking the high road? And if you are like, the movie Dogma, right? That
Yeah.
amazing movie, the like Jay and Silent Bob, Kevin
It's
Smith.
Matt Damon.
Yes.
Mer-
That
Matt Damon.
that whole film is about angels killing bad people, right?
Well, they're
Which is-
archangels. Yeah.
Right. But that's what's so interesting is like that's the moral high ground question is you just go, cool, like so we found the bad person, now we're killing the bad person to solve their killing, I guess.
I don't really remember the story. I just remember Matt Damon.
But
Hey,
yeah, I don't know.
what kind of scams are you guys running right now? I mean, we all scam our taxes a little bit, probably. I mean, everybody in America, that's the way it works, right?
Right.
I mean, across the board. And then, I mean, what about the dogs and shit on airplanes? Like everyone was like bringing their peacock on the plane. And everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, it's just for my anxiety," you know?
Yeah.
And that was like one of those public scams that everyone was kind of
Yes.
just doing, even though they knew better. Like we all, there's publics.
I photoshopped a doctor's note for someone
Amazing.
for a support animal.
You just made it on your computer.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's
I love that
it's a really interesting question, man. And then also, by the way, like this is the other thing. I think I'd kind of alluded to this, but like what this is the end of another one of these threads on Scam the Scalpers, and it ends with somebody posting a photo of a clown saying like, "You really thought I was going to pay $1,000 for a console?" And then the scammer or the scalper was like, "Well, I appreciate you helping me get some exercise." So it was like, so there's a little bit of like, all right, well,
yeah,
thank you.
Like, hey, I'm a scalper. I know like the pitfalls of my business, and this is one of them.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the college admissions scam was a big one.
Totally.
Was that last
And
year?
that was
I mean, if you
college admission scam is like we caught a couple people, but like there's countless others that do that. Like, that is like,
well,
and that's brilliant, you guys, because that goes full circle because the daughter of one of the college scams just went on Red Table Talk to talk about it.
yeah, she's got to leverage her celebrity.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, the scam, I will think that like a good example of a legitimate scam, just thinking about this conversation is like when I was 22, when I had just gotten out of college, one of my jobs, because I worked like a fucking ton of jobs because I was a freelance writer and it was the only way to survive, was I taught kids how to take the SAT.
Ooh.
But it was through Princeton Review. It was like through the company that does that shit.
Yeah.
But it was literally a class for rich kids Just be like, all right, when you get this kind of question, this is going to be the answer.
Yeah.
So do
How
that.
to scam the SATs.
How to scam the SATs institutionally. And like, that's a perfect example of this. It's like, because that exists, is it really that different than somebody being like, I'm going to take the SAT under a different name and I'm going to be feeding you answers.
Yeah.
Right.
Or your dad just buying a hospital on campus. And then guess what? You're getting into fucking Yale.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, that's not an official scam. That's a scam that we're willing to, at the school, like, accept because you gave us a lot of cashish. But if you're trying to scam us in a sort of like an unapproved way by cheating on the test, that we do not like.
You're right. It's like there are two categories of like socially acceptable scams.
It's true.
Yeah. Socially unacceptable scams.
And as a disruptor of the scamming industry, I like to be on the forefront of all the new scams, which you know people say.
Well, but that
but every new scam that comes out, there's probably theoretical pushback until it becomes normalized, and then everyone's like, "Oh, we're all doing it,"
and then everybody is powerless to it.
That is probably actually a very good industry, to be honest, is like being kind of the front line against new scams, because that would tell you a lot about the direction of contemporary scamming, right? Like I do that with viruses, right? I mean, like a new virus comes out and then there's, IT professionals that just go, all right, this is what's going on. This is why this is happening. Yeah. I mean, I guess that gets back to the bot detection thing. Like that's ultimately what the bot detection thing is all about, is like someone on the other side goes, oh, this new kinds of bot can get past the write these squiggly letters, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to create a new system that can detect bots. Here, we're proposing this system. Image recognition. Here's why we're using image recognition.
Point out the traffic lights.
Point out traffic lights. These grainy images you can't see, or like, it's. I mean, it's a pretty. It's a really. It's very fascinating. I mean, this is an interesting. I mean, we have to end this, unfortunately, because I have to go to a chiropractor because my back fucking hurts. But yeah, it sucks. I'm gonna have to get your back advice, dog boobs.
Dude, I got all of it.
We got a Theragun, one of those little.
Oh, I do have a Theragun.
Massage dildo things. They fucking rule.
That's one of
my hip, actually. Like my hip is like got some gnarliness going on. But anyway,
side pro tip: take that Theragun thing.
Yep.
Put it like on your forehead, really lightly. Massage that sinus cavity. Oh man, feels nice.
Wow.
Is that real? Are you making that up?
No, I was like doing it on my back, and then I was like moving up, and then I like got to the back of my neck, and then I like started just doing my head, and then I just like kept going, was like, and I'm like, oh, that feels interesting.
And then just blood.
Just an old rubber boot fell out of my nose.
I love it.
Giving yourself concussions.
No, it's just a light tickle.
I feel different.
Like
I feel weird.
I feel dumber.
That's actually so. I started. I haven't really been doing it lately, but I had a hard time sleeping last night, so I did it again last night. Where I do the that guy that like can sit in ice water for
Wim Hof.
Wim Hof. Do you have his app?
I do not have it, but I read the book on breathing. There's like whatever.
I do his breathing exercises sometimes, and you do those breathing exercises, and you get stoned, dude. Like,
right.
Dude, they're fucking crazy. And because the whole thing is you exhale all of your air out, and then you hold your breath without any air in your system, and then your body just starts to feel like it's floating away, right?
It's called dying.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I did it once and passed out. so I don't I recommend it. But like,
asphyxiation, Dad.
It pretty much is, but you're not.
Well, I think your body has
start breathing again. Yeah,
your body has plenty of oxygen in its blood to survive for longer than you think. What happens is your body is putting out carbon dioxide, and so your body has this urge to expel it. And so if you can fight that urge, you're not going to die from lack of oxygen. There's plenty of oxygen in your blood, and so that's kind of the game, right? Is like learning how to beat beat the biological signal that's saying you're gonna die, but you won't. Is the trick?
Yeah, you should do it.
Ignore that big warning sign.
Yeah, it's a survival.
You like breathe in, you take a big exhale or inhale and then exhale like 30 times. Like really like huge breath, exhale, like do it 30 times. You'll start feeling like your body like almost have too much oxygen where you're like start feeling a little tingly and weird. And then you exhale everything and then you just like lay there and stay still and try to be as still as possible and focus on the feeling. And then for me at least, like I feel like all of my limbs start getting tingly and then I kind of feel like numb and then I just feel like I'm like at one with the world.
Dude,
it's tight. It's awesome.
Sounds like breathing is a scam.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that I'm having like brain injury loss, where I'm literally like deprived of oxygen and my brain is just shutting down, like I'm suffocating myself. But it feels cool.
Feels good, so I'm gonna do it.
All right, so Scam the Scammers, interesting subreddit. Growing subreddit, but mostly interesting topic in the world of how we relate to not even just like the capitalist system, but like our needs as people and our kind of inventiveness as the human race, that we find new ways to survive in spite of the rules and regulations designed to keep us from doing that. Maybe, I don't know. It's a really interesting topic. We can kind of go on for a while. We didn't talk about it, but there are a lot of YouTube accounts too. There's a couple really prevalent ones, but there are YouTube accounts dedicated to literally scamming scammers over the phone and like recording it and turning it into content, which I think is pretty interesting. So so if this topic interests
street justice, man, street justice.
It is street justice. I mean, that's really what this is about. So
any physical altercations? I didn't see any, but nobody's getting like beat up or murdered or anything.
Of threats of it, but I think that it's not real because there's no real way to trace.
Because everyone's just a video game dork.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I got you. That's how video.
I'll beat you up in Minecraft. All right, so hit a couple randoms, close this guy out. Let's see if we hit anything that could be compelling for the next.
I found a pretty cool one that really speaks to my Simsness of the whole world, and it's world building. So it's for artists, writers, game masters,
it's awesome.
Musicians, programmers, philosophers, scientists, creating new worlds, new universes. And something that's been something that people do for fantasy, fiction, games, like just a lot of people on here just creating like new worlds. Like this is a really cool one. This is 10 pages from a book this person made and illustrated about an Innsmouth-like town, which I think is that like lost colony thing or something. Yeah. But they like made it up and created like characters and like stories.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah,
this
cool.
What's it called again?
Infused medieval city.
World building, yeah.
Look
I mean, world building. This would be a really fun one to do.
It would. Very cool.
This is like my primary
world
job.
Building. It is your primary job. Right. I got the mythological world of Finland.
Oh, cool!
Which is kind of cool, given that
I know a guy who claims to be from Finland.
Oh, well, he's an FBI agent. So
we don't. A lot of times I stare at him and I go, so like, when are you gonna just come out with it? And admit, this is all fake.
When are you gonna trust me enough to tell me the truth? You have to earn his trust.
It's been years.
So all right, you got any over there, Freed? I know that you never share your screen, so I'm just gonna assume you don't.
No, I just clicked on Narcos, and I think it's just about the drug trade, which it's based on the show Narcos, but then it spins off into just drug news, drug headlines from the Mexican and Colombian drug world. I can share, but
I mean, that's pretty fucking sick, actually. Like, I would love to know more about that stuff, because that is like a crazy world.
Yeah, and have you guys? That's something I forgot to mention on the front page this week, was the story about this mother whose 20-something-year-old daughter was murdered by the Zetas cartel.
Yeah.
And she went on a Taken-esque journey and killed 10 people responsible for her daughter's murder before she was murdered by one of them.
It sounds like the next Charlize Theron
So
joint.
sick.
You know what I mean?
Very amazing.
Sound very Charlize Theron. Yeah.
Yeah. She was like this like amazing like Mexican mother who just went up to these guys and was like, oh, like I don't what like
You're dead.
Very cool.
I mean, I also think that world is like, talk about a fucking crazy uncivilized. Yeah, it's nightmare. I mean, those stories of like living on the border across from, like, what is it? It's like, what's the El Paso? I guess El Paso's across the border from Juarez, and just like sitting on the fucking hill and just like watching gunfire happen. You're just like, holy shit, dude! Like,
fuck,
so crazy. It's like it is really, really wild. So I'm like, yeah, I'm very compelled by that. And there's this podcast I love now called Popular Front that I listen to a lot. It's like a modern war podcast. But they did an episode about the contemporary narcos, drug wars, and all that kind of stuff. And just hearing about the ways that they're changing is really interesting. It's just a really interesting, extremely dark and very weird part
all
of
the worst videos online are cartel videos.
That's not, you're not wrong.
Not wrong.
And then the other scam there is what is it? We export all of the guns that they use to murder each other, and then we import all of the drugs that we use to party. And that's kind of the relationship, which is crazy.
It is.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the same. I mean, this is America is a flawed institution, man, because we do the same thing with oil, right? I mean, we fund all the wars with oil that we use, and then it's just fucking wild. It's absolutely wild. But anyway, all right, I gotta go get my back fixed.
Get your back fixed.
This is Did You Reddit, a weekly podcast about the internet by way of Reddit, the front page of the internet, talking about scams. My name is It's Your Dad.
I'm Baloobs.
My free day out here, saying goodbye.
Tim Allen, best Santa ever.
Tim Allen rules, man.
We may or may not do an episode next week. I don't know what our schedule is with the holidays. I'm sure we will do at least one episode over the holidays, but if we don't, hope all y'all listeners have a good holiday.
Maybe a Christmas episode.
I hope Santa comes down and has sex with every single one of you. That's what I want.
Me too.
That's what I want for you. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.